Beloved Saints, today's 5-minute message of Redemptive History is about Ibzan, from the third book of Redemptive History series, The Unquenchable Lamp of the Covenant. Ibzan reigned as Israel's judge for 7 years after Jephthah. Judges 12 verses 8 through 9 says, After Jephthah, Ibzan of Bethlehem led Israel. He had 30 sons and 30 daughters. He gave his daughters away in marriage to those outside his clan, and for his sons he brought in 30 young women as wives from outside his clan. Ibzan led Israel 7 years. First, Ibzan had 30 sons and 30 daughters. Everyone. Ibzan had 60 children throughout his life, so he probably also had many wives. There is no record of his deeds as the leader of the nation. The only record about him states that he had many wives, through whom he had many children, and that he gave them away in marriage. It can be presumed that during his 7-year reign, his main focus was marrying his children off. The Bible states that he reigned as a judge over Israel, but there is no record of him fighting to save the nation or serving the people. Rather than being faithful to his duties as judge, Ibzan's heart was more inclined to the benefits that came with his position as judge. Second, Ibzan lived an extravagant life. Since Ibzan had 60 children, celebrating weddings and birthdays all year round for his wives and children would have taken up most of his time. It seems that Ibzan got all of his children married during his reign as a judge. Getting 60 children married in 7 years of his reign probably averaged about 8 to 9 weddings per year. Even one wedding is a big event for a family. What a busy work it must have been to have about 8 to 9 weddings every year for 7 years. And what is more shocking is that he married all of his children off to people outside of the family. In fact, these marriages were with Gentiles who had nothing to do with God's covenant. And since these were not ordinary marriages, but marriages to foreigners, these weddings were probably a great financial burden on the people of Israel. Judges 12 verse 9 says, He gave his daughters away in marriage to those outside his clan, and for his sons he brought in 30 young women as wives from outside his clan. Everyone. Ibzan probably focused on marriages with foreigners for his children because the Israelites had suffered greatly in the past due to foreign oppression. Thus, he devised this marriage policy in order to develop amicable relationships with the foreign nations and to secure peace for the nation. However, this left the people vulnerable to sinful and idle lives. Think about it. The 30 daughters-in-law that Ibzan brought in from foreign countries also must have brought with them the detestable idols of the Gentiles. Thus, although it appears as though Ibzan's marriage policy maintained peace, it is only temporary. The nation of Israel intermingled with Gentiles, so they worshipped various idols. Beloved saints, Ibzan's life resume appears brilliant and splendid. However, with his selfish governance and imprudent alliances with Gentile nations, he neglected the people to live in sin. He also brought in idols, and the people fell into greater sin as a result. On the other hand, Jesus' life resume shows no record of a selfish life or a life of splendor for himself. Philippians chapter 2 verse 7 states that he emptied himself and took on the form of a bondservant and became like man. What about our resume? Do you have a splendid life resume like Ibzan's that the world acknowledges? Or do you have a resume like Jesus in which you have emptied yourself? What I pray is that we will resemble Jesus Christ and that we will diligently work for the will of God that was entrusted to us. Let us completely empty ourselves and become humble, and fill our lives abundantly with the Word of God. I bless in the name of the Lord.